Welcome for those of you who are joining us. Thank you for attending our virtual event about the humanities at Carthage. My name's Ashley Hansen. I'm the Associate Vice President for Admissions and Financial Aid. We wish that we were able to welcome you on campus in person, but until we're able to do so, we're glad that we can reach out to you through this virtual way. We have some of our expert faculty members from the humanities area who will each share with you information about what their students are doing both in and outside of the classroom, how they are working with our students and what our students are doing, after graduation. At the end of the presentation, we will open it up to question and answer. Using the chat feature at the bottom of the screen, you can address your questions and we will share those with the group. But to get us started, I would like to introduce our faculty, and we will start with Professor McShane.
Hi there. My name is Michael McShane, and it's my privilege at the moment to be the chair of two enterprises at Carthage. One is called the Philosophy Department, and the other is called the Great Ideas Program. And so I would like to tell everyone a little bit more about these two exciting programs. I have a slideshow. Wow, that looks pretty slidey. Okay, so first I would like to talk a little bit about the Carthage College Philosophy Program. Let's see if this will work. So what does the Philosophy Department offer? Well, so we offer a number of different courses, including courses on historical philosophers such as Parmenides, Heraclitus, Plato, Aristotle, Descartes, Hume, Nietzsche, Wittgenstein, this kind of thing. We also offer courses on issues and problems in philosophy, often ethics, where we have courses on business ethics. We have courses on medical ethics. There's a new program that we're developing called Medical Humanities, and the medical ethics class will be the centerpiece of that. We're also strong in political philosophy. We also offer courses on other issues in philosophy, such as philosophy of death and dying, philosophy and literature, philosophy of great literary works. Some examples of classes we've taught recently: Homer's Odyssey, Shakespeare's King Lear, Melville's Moby Dick, this sort of thing. We also offer courses on various skill development, including critical thinking, logical reasoning. I've taught these classes myself. Very often students report that the skills that they learn in these classes help them in their other classes, help them with their standardized tests, going into graduate school, other environments like that. Here are the requirements for the philosophy major. 36 credits are required. With the consent of the chairperson of the philosophy department, that's me. Courses in other departments may be counted for a philosophy major. And I should say that we're quite open-minded about what qualifies. For the minor, we need 24 credit hours. So that's essentially 6 classes. And similarly, we're open to negotiating about other classes from different disciplines. Other opportunities include the Carthage Philosophy Club, which meets weekly to discuss philosophically interesting topics philosophically. This is an extremely successful club. They meet once a week. Often 20 to 30 people show up regularly. I have it on good authority that pizza is consumed. It's a good idea. We also do a number of other things, such as we run a lecture series called The Book That Changed My Life lecture series. And sometimes they are not even books, but maybe the mathematical proof that changed my life or the musical piece that changed my life. These are some things that have come to mind done before. Last year, we did a very successful lecture series called Philosophy and Mental Health. So that's some of the things that we do. If you would like to talk to me, please do email me at my Carthage email address. So that is my presentation for the philosophy department. And also have a presentation for the Great Ideas program. Okay, so the Great Ideas program is an unusual program that we have at Carthage that, as far as I know, doesn't exist anywhere else. It is an interdisciplinary program. It's unique to Carthage, focusing on the close reading of seminal books of Western civilization, mostly, in such disciplines as literature, philosophy, politics, science, mathematics, economics. This is not what I wanted to happen. Things are happening that I didn't want to happen. Let me start that over.
Try again.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm sure this can all be edited, so don't sweat it.
Thank you, Dr. Pullen. Okay, I'm ready to try again. Apologies to everyone for that. Okay, so anyway, here we go again with our Great Ideas program. So this is a program, it's not a department. That means that we pull faculty members from lots of different areas, as you can imagine from seeing the list of the things that we study here. We typically read books like this: Homer, Aeschylus. We even got the Mahabharata in there, which is an Indian epic. So you can see things right up through the 20th century we are reading. So these are all what are typically called great books. Who are the people that are involved in this? Well, our faculty represent a number of disciplines, including classics, English, philosophy, political science, communication, physics, mathematics. They hold PhDs from some of the most prestigious universities in the United States, including Columbia, Yale, Dallas, the universities of Chicago, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Great Ideas majors and minors are, in my humble view, among the most intellectually ambitious students at Carthage. They often double major in a wide variety of disciplines. They regularly include Lincoln Scholars and are frequently accomplished musicians and language students. Moving on, Great Ideas graduates have been admitted to some of the most prestigious graduate institutions in the world, including Harvard, Columbia, Toronto, Wisconsin, etc. So this is just a typical year of Great Ideas courses. Changes every year, of course, but just some of our typical offerings. I'll draw your attention to the fact that we spent an entire semester reading Dante's Divine Comedy. So this is very rewarding. In our courses, we tend to focus our attention on close reading. We're very proud that our students, when they graduate, are very good at reading difficult texts closely. So here are the core courses. For the major, 5 core courses plus 4 elective courses and a senior thesis are required. You can see what's required for a minor. And here's a list of some of our students and where they have ended up over the years. So we're very proud of our graduates, and I should say also that we have worked very hard to place them in different job opportunities, teaching opportunities, graduate school opportunities, etc. It's a small program, but we work very hard to help our students to succeed after they graduate. And if you'd like to talk more about this, please do not be shy. Contact me at this email address. And that's what I have for my 2 slideshows, one about the philosophy department and one about the Great Ideas program at Carthage. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Michael. We will now turn it over to Jim.
Yes, thank you, Dan. I am not muted anymore. I'm Jim Lochtefeld, the chair presently of the religion department, although we have another chair coming in very soon. I will also say just a little bit about the Asian Studies program at Carthage, about which I am one of the founding members. But I'll start by, oh, not that one. I will start by sharing my screen. That's the one I want. Okay. So here's a nice graphic that I found, which shows religious communities around the world, Catholicism in dark purple, Protestantism in the lighter, Islam, both Sunni and Shia, Hindus, Chinese are their own thing, Orthodox Christians in the pink. And one of the things you see is that basically the whole globe is colored in at this point. Everything has a place. Religion is a worldwide phenomenon. And in the introductory course, Religion 1000, Understandings of Religion, this is one of the premises behind the course itself. And some of it is about getting some background in each of these, but the rest of it is about sort of coming to understand how religion functions in human experience. And of course, in the United States, in a lot of Western Europe, in Australia, New Zealand, sort of the developed countries, a lot of the Scandinavian countries as well, formal religious affiliation tends to be going down. And we have the growth of a group called the nuns, as in none of the above. What you find with those people is that they often have a division between religion and spirituality. And here they're shown with a little bit of intersection. They can be completely separate. In some cases, people conceive of religion as institutional and spirituality as being personal. But in many cases, as you see in this graphic down on the bottom right, they can be almost coterminous, and people can be highly spiritual and highly religious at the same time. These things are not necessarily different. And so this is another, I mean, people may talk about, oh, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. Some of what we're doing is simply exploring sort of the difference between these, or the apparent difference between these, I'd say. Here's a bunch of symbols from particular religious traditions. Shorthand for many of them. These are also the members of our department. This one, Dan Showalter, you will hear from in a little while, also about the classics, so I'm always happy to let him speak for himself. But in our department, we have a Tanzanian Lutheran pastor. We have a Turkish Muslim. We have an Italian Jew. And we have me. My work is in South Asia. All of you, when you come, still will have to take another 4-credit class in religion. The 3 primary areas of study in which the classes are offered are sacred texts, global religious diversity, and religion, culture, and society. You can find, if you're interested, the requirements for the major or the minor easily on the Carthage website. I won't belabor that here, but these are sort of our major divisions, and we have just actually redone those divisions to create those these new categories. The other thing which is new is we have always had a religion major and a religion minor. We have just passed an interfaith studies minor. The religion department does work very closely with the chapel office and with the Center for Faith and Spirituality. We are clear that we are doing different things. One is more academic, one is more personal. But in the personal study, you can have academic things. In the academic study, people often have personal commitments that fit into this. And this interfaith studies minor was a way to address this. One of the possible ways to finish out this minor is to do a capstone with a nonprofit or an NGO, a church, or a food bank, or a women's shelter, and to then incorporate that nonprofit experience as a capstone experience for the interfaith studies minor. I wanted to talk a little bit, because one of the things that this department does very actively is field study. in the J term. And I'll give you examples of 3 different, they call them study tours now and not trips. The first one to Andalusia in the south of Spain. The second one to Tanzania. Sorry, the third one's to Tanzania. The second one is to India with various sites in there, and just a little bit from each one. Al-Andalus, as the Arabs called it, it's the southern region of Spain. The Arabs lived there for 600 years and ruled there for most of the time. And so you still find not only remnants, but actually lots of converted sorts of buildings. So in the top right, you have a street from Cordoba, very narrow, which you would find in a medieval Jewish or medieval Islamic city. Up at the top of the hill, you see the Cathedral of Cordoba, but this was in fact originally a mosque and was repurposed after the Reconquista, or the reconquering of Spain from the Moors. The largest picture, this is a picture of the Alhambra in Granada. This is a 14th century fortress palace that had complex, really. It had 7 palaces inside it, and you can see some of this really intricate and beautiful design. The calligraphy apparently says over and over again, no one is victorious except for Allah. So putting God above all things. And here on this little photo is of the city of Toledo. So this Cordoba, Granada, Toledo, these were the 3 major sites for the Andalusia tour. In India, you have a multi-religious secular democracy, despite its problems. When I go and take students, we spend time primarily in religious sites, and I've got 3 of them here. Here, a bunch of Hindu pilgrims bathing in the Ganges on a festival day. Here is the Jama Masjid, built by Shah Jahan in 1542, sorry. And, no, it was 1642. And here, the Harmandir Sahib, the holiest place of the Sikhs, with a long line of people waiting to get inside. Stunningly beautiful places, all of these. Part of going to India is also just experiences, whether it's the light of the morning in Pushkar and the beauty of the photo that you get, or the people that you meet and drink tea with, or these people, odd people that you see with these crafts here and there. These people are putting gold brocade embroidery into an awning that will hang over the Sikh scripture in the Golden Temple. And one person, Lauren Gussell, described India as a mix of spices, pollution, body odor, and magic. Tanzania is a multi-religious, multi-ethnic society. And so when my colleague Andrea takes them there, this is from a Hindu temple in a place called Arusha, which is up near the mountains. Here they're talking and meeting with a Buddhist monk in Dar es Salaam. Here they're at a Lutheran church in Dar es Salaam. You'll note that Dar es Salaam is in fact an Arabic name. It means the abode of peace. Of course, a Lutheran church in Dar es Salaam is going to be an African Lutheran church, not a European Lutheran church. So they explore these multiple religious communities as they go. One of the most exotic things they probably do is they go out to Zanzibar, an island group about 15 miles, 20 miles offshore from Tanzania, was where Freddie Mercury was born, the lead singer, star of Queen. Here they're in a spice garden. Zanzibar became known after the 1600s as a place for growing, among other things, cloves, cinnamon, nutmeg, and black pepper. This was like growing money in pre-modern times because the spices were so valuable. And of course, with any trip to Africa, you have to have some wildlife porn. This is Ngorongoro National Park in Tanzania with some giraffes, which are extremely cool and very large. There's some zebras chomping on grass, just like horses, and a baboon shot, I hope, with a very long lens because they are big and, big teeth. In terms of what folks who have gotten a religion degree have done, among recent ones, we have a woman who is a marketing director for Blizzard Entertainment, which is some kind of online gaming company. We have a person who's a librarian. We have one who is a nurse. He double majored in religion and nursing. Any of the human-centered professions, religion is a very helpful thing because it will help you to understand the people that you are working with. Other people, one's a building contractor, other people are working for various nonprofits. The most recent spent this year in New Mexico doing a reading program for AmeriCorps, and will be coming back to Milwaukee to work in nonprofits there. So if you have questions, you can contact me via the website, or I'm sure Ashley can help you with our contact information. I would be delighted to hear from you.
All right. Well, my name is Eric Pullen. I'm the chairman of the history department, but I'm not going to be chairman for much longer. My colleague, John Leeser, is going to take over in the fall. We have an approach to history that I hope you'll find engaging. I think the first thing I'd like to, I guess, ask you is, why, let me make sure I get my PowerPoint moving here. Why study history? I recommend that people study history, and my colleagues recommend that people study history for 4 general reasons. One is that it's important to develop analysis skills. In the history department, one of the academic approaches that we like to emphasize is the ability to take apart documents and pieces of information, dissolve them to their component parts, and then reconstruct them so that you as a student are able then to communicate what you've learned about those documents, those issues, to your peers, to your instructors, and to your potential employers. The second area that we focus on is problem solving. When we study history, we look at a number of different perspectives. It could be from the perspective of politics, of opposing points of view. It could be differences in gender, ethnicity, race. It can involve LGBT issues or religion, as my colleagues have talked about. And what we do in the history department is ask you not to determine what's right or wrong, good or bad about these issues, but rather how these issues form problems. And when I use the word problem, I don't mean something, again, that needs to be solved, but rather that something that needs to be thought about. The third area that we like to develop is research skills. We in the history department want to make sure that you as a history major are, simply put, able to find things, that you can go on the internet, you can go into a library, you can go into an archives, or you can, for your employer or for your instructors, basically find out information that they want to know, valuable information. And we teach you in the history department how to find the things that matter, not just to you, but to other people. And above all, I think the fourth area that we like to build upon are communication skills. 3 areas in which we take special pride are building students' writing ability, speaking ability, and their ability to navigate through digital media and to present and communicate through digital media. One of the things that we emphasize in the history department that I think is very important is that history is a valuable degree in itself. But while you're studying history, you need to be teaching yourself skills that will be marketable for your employers. Like, for instance, learning types of software or presentation skills. I'm losing, what's the word? Digital media. Oh gosh, I can't even remember the names of the programs, but certain types of software packages that employers like when people are engaged in sales or analyzing information that is useful in the workplace. Those 4 areas, I think, are very valuable for the types of careers that history majors go into. If you look at recent data that has been provided by the United States Census, by Best Colleges, and by the American Society of Consulting, you will find that history majors tend to go into a number of different fields. Most of them, almost 20%, go into education, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're teaching grade school, middle school, or high school. Many of our history majors do in fact go into those fields, but they also do teaching in the private sector. They'll do corporate training, and we consider library sciences to be a part of teaching as well. A surprising number of history majors go into management. That means that they are working either in the private or public sectors, running either not-for-profits or actual business elements and units. Many of our students go into law, and you'll find that when it comes to law, they do business law, they will do scientific law, they'll do entertainment law, and they'll do digital media in terms of how it is they approach the law. And when I say law, it doesn't necessarily mean that people become lawyers, although many of our majors do become lawyers. What it means is that many of them go into the legal profession, and they focus on these 4 areas. Another significant number of historians go into sales and institutional administration. And the rest, the 36% that's other, is so wide and so variegated that I can't even put it all on one PowerPoint. People who are history majors basically prepare themselves to go out into the working world to do just about anything. In terms of earning opportunities and earning potential, the median income for history majors is those people who are in the workforce between the ages of 25 and 64 is $60,000 a year. For those who are in education, it's a little lower, it's 46. But for those who go into management or managerial positions, the median income increases significantly to 80%. And again, the legal profession, you're going to see people making median income around $100,000 a year. And again, that doesn't include just lawyers. That includes people who are paralegals or who do consulting or other types of research work for law firms. Now, when you get to Carthage, as a history major, there's actually quite a wide range of opportunity that you'll have when you get to the institution. We at Carthage, and it's not just history, it's the entire institution, is really committed. Really committed to international study. So in the history department, we offer a wide range of J-term study tours, and we offer a number of opportunities to either take a year abroad or just a semester abroad. And the countries range from East Asia to Africa to Europe and South America. The opportunities in both with both J-term travel and with studying abroad are basically limited by your imagination and your will to go and travel. If you want to pursue international travel, whether it's on the short term with a study term or long term with a study abroad, the opportunity is there for you. The history department also cares a great deal about preparing people for their professions. Since most people who are history majors do not become PhD historians, we offer a number of internships in the Chicago and Milwaukee area. There are internships with both federal and state the federal government nationally, and state governments in Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and I believe Michigan. Many of our students have taken opportunities to pursue internships with government in the states I've just mentioned. And in addition, let's say government work or general work is not your particular flavor, then if you are interested in partisan politics, there are plenty of opportunities we've been able to provide students who are interested in politics on the entire, across the entire political spectrum, from socialist to libertarian and the usual suspects who form the Democrat and Republican parties. In addition, there are a number of internships that are available through private foundations, and these can include museums, libraries, research facilities, or political think tanks. In terms of academic funding, when you become a history major at Carthage, not exclusively history, but all sorts of people are able to apply for Fulbrights. our college, Carthage College, has been very fortunate across the institution because we have a large number of students who have been Fulbright scholars, but we're very proud of the number of people who become Fulbright scholars in the history department. In addition, there are opportunities for you to win money for travel, to do research or study, and that could involve anything from going to a presidential archive like the Harry Truman Library or the JFK Library, or going to San Diego or the exotic city of St. Louis to be able to present your own original research. And one of the opportunities we're most proud of at Carthage College is the Phi Alpha Theta History Honor Society. This is the second oldest, next to Phi Beta Kappa, of all the honor societies in higher education. And Carthage College has been a member of Phi Alpha Theta since 1967. And it is something we're very proud of because it's an opportunity for the best students in history to shine and basically demonstrate that they love history. And of course, Phi Alpha Theta brings with it all sorts of opportunities. Now, it's not just all about the swag bag of opportunities at Carthage. One of the things that I am particularly proud of at Carthage College is the close relationship, or are the close relationships that professors develop with their students. Here is an image of my colleague, Dr. Stephen Udry, who is a professor of Chinese and East Asian history. And here he is in Taiwan with a group of students. Now, the great thing about what Dr. Udry is doing is that, and I think this really exemplifies why you will want to come to Carthage and why you will want to be a history major. Basically, when you compare us to research universities around the country, what you're getting is access to professors. You're getting access to people who actually care about you and want to invest in your future. And the photograph that you see here with Dr. Udry in China, or Taiwan, I'm sorry, is a perfect example of that. Let's see, let me move on a little bit and tell you that history is not all books. This is one of my favorite images. And this is an example of one of our graduates, Caitlin Zant, who works for the Wisconsin Historical Society, and her job is basically underwater archaeology. What she does is she dives underwater in the Great Lakes, mostly in Lake Michigan, and she and her crew, they search for wrecks and wreckage on the floor of Lake Michigan. And they have found some amazing treasures, including a large ship that has 200 pristine cars from the 1950s that some entrepreneur, I hope someday, will bring up and bring millions of dollars or gain millions of dollars by. But basically what Zant and others do for a living is use their history degree, not just for fun, but also to make money. Now, it's not just about money and it's not just about fun, but one of the reasons why, and this is me, forgive the self-indulgence, but one of the reasons why I want to recommend a history major to you is because it really is extraordinarily interesting. This is a photograph of me while I'm on a J-term study tour on the Normandy beaches. History is extraordinarily interesting. And I'll just tell you this, everything has a history, whether it's sports, whether it's science, whether it's music, whether it's war, it doesn't matter. It has a history. And so one of the great opportunities that I have as a professor is the ability to work closely with students who are interested in a wide range of activities. And here we are basically on the shores of Normandy looking at the history of World War II. And my students, we've traveled from Britain to France, through Belgium, the Netherlands, down into Luxembourg and Germany. And my study tour is just one sliver of the numerous examples. If I include it with Dr. Udry's trip to Taiwan, I need to mention that he goes to places like Chinese Macau, and he goes to Hong Kong. My colleague, Dr. Mitchell, she'll take students to the Caribbean, she'll take students to Mexico, to Cuba, and other countries in Latin America. And my colleague, Dr. Leeser, whom I guess this is the entire department. You'll see us all here. Dr. Leeser is our modern Britain specialist and a modern European historian. As I said, Dr. Mitchell is our Mexico specialist. She does Latin America. Dr. Udry does China and East Asia. I do the United States international relations, and I also focus in the history of South Asia. I think you're going to be able to find an area or a part of history that's really interesting to you and that motivates you and captures your attention while you are developing the 4 core skills that are going to make you marketable to employers when you leave Carthage. And the last thing I'm going to say before I go is not only are we going to help you develop those skills, but we're going to help our best to connect you with the resources and the institutions you need to succeed in the career that you choose. And like my colleagues say, if you have any questions, any concerns, please do not hesitate to get in contact with me. My information is available on the web, and I'd be happy to talk with you. Thank you very much, Ashley.
Thank you, Eric. And then now we'll send it over to Dan.
My name is Dan Showalter, and I'm chair of the Classics Department at Carthage. As Jim Lochtefeld mentioned, I'm also a member of the Religion Department, and there's been a really nice overlap in terms of my areas of interest, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. I'd like to start out by saying that classics may seem like an unfamiliar concept or an unfamiliar terminology to some people. It's basically study of the ancient Mediterranean world in all kinds of different aspects. So we study classical literature, we study classical languages, we study classical societies. There's a good deal of history involved. And the area that I'm most interested in is Mediterranean archaeology and its interface with classical religion. So as you can see, we have a classics major at Carthage. We have a classical archaeology separate major that you can take as well. And then we have many students who take either the classics minor, the Latin minor, which is very popular, especially with students who are dealing with legal or medical terminology, and also the Greek minor. Those are the main areas of study that we offer. Come on, here we go. One point I wanted to make was that we have a great deal of overlap with other departments, and there are numerous students now and in the past who have been classics majors or minors and have also majored in other things. So I just wrote down currently, right at this point, just looking at our current list, we have majors and minors who are math, criminal justice, biology, theater, geoscience, music, PE, and also philosophy. So this has become a very popular way for students to work on materials that they enjoy and things they're interested in terms of the ancient world, and also focus in another academic area as well. I would like to highlight the fact that we have a classics honorary, Eta Sigma Phi. We are the Theta Omicron chapter of Eta Sigma Phi, and Eta Sigma Phi has been a very active student organization that gets involved in lots of events on campus and also goes to local, regional, and national conferences. This year we had students attending the Archaeological Institute of America and Society of Classical Studies conference in Washington, D.C. Carthage itself was supposed to host the National Eta Sigma Phi conference in April, but unfortunately the pandemic doomed it for this year. But the good news is when you get to Carthage and you're a classics major or minor, you can help us run the conference, because we'll probably be having it in 2022 now. This group is very interesting. Again, it's not necessarily just for classics majors and minors, but any students who take Latin or Greek and do well are eligible to join the organization. I must have missed a slide. Hold on one second. Sorry. There we go. Sorry, I did want to highlight a couple of classes that are very important and that have come on the scene fairly recently. We have a new ancient medical terminology class that's taught by my colleague Ben DeSchmidt. Ben specializes in classical literature and languages, and has taken up this medical terminology course. And he's actually, this is the first semester that he's been teaching it. He's been very surprised and has reported that he's gone into lots of areas beyond just simply terminology. This is not just about learning Latin derivatives that appear in modern medical practice today, but also trying to understand ancient medicine, the evidence that we have for how the ancient people took care of themselves and took care of one another. And as you might imagine, how religion and healing deities were related to this concept of keeping people well. I teach a course in ancient and modern Jerusalem, which again crosses some interesting sorts of disciplinary boundaries. We talk about both the archaeology and antiquity of the city, and we also spend time talking about the modern situation of Jerusalem as a significant world city that's fraught with all kinds of disagreements and also possibilities. And I think students enjoy the opportunity to look with some depth into this critical place, which has both a very strong lineage and also, I think, a great promise for the future. And my colleague Chris Renaud teaches a course called Blacks in Antiquity, in which he talks about the whole concept of minority as it's reflected in ancient texts and also to an extent in archaeology. The situation with understandings of minority in the ancient world is very different than it is in our own, although there's some overlap. And Professor Renaud has been very successful and enjoyed a great student enthusiasm in talking about this topic and working on it in class. Professor Renaud teaches both in the literature and language courses and also in our archaeology, classical archaeology program. She herself has excavated in the Athenian Agora and recently has been working with an excavation in the Roman Forum, right in the heart of ancient Rome. So her work is very exciting and important. So back then, sorry to the picture here. I wanted to say just a little bit more about my work. I have conducted travel study programs, numerous ones in the Mediterranean world over the years. This next January, we will be going to Greece. I've also taken classes to Italy, Rome and environs, and also to Turkey. And then I've also, in the summers, run excavation programs involving students from Carthage and other schools around the country and around the world. And this is a picture of a group from our last group, actually our last season, excavating at a really important Roman temple site in northern Israel called Amrit. You can see here that the Amrit is located in the very far north of Israel, right here on the kind of foothills of the Golan Heights. This is the Sea of Galilee down here. This is the Mediterranean Sea over here, Tyre and Sidon in Lebanon. And very interesting location and a very impressive temple building that was constructed there. Turns out the temple actually had 3 phases. You can see them outlined here in different colors. And in the course of about 110 years, there was major remodeling several times that probably included some structural damage that had to be repaired. But the temple kept getting bigger and kept getting more impressive, and it was really quite an exciting monument. As I look at this picture now, I think about 20 years of excavation at Amrit, 14 of those involving Carthage students directly. And I'm very pleased and satisfied that we did good work there. We have gone on to another excavation, and students are participating in this dig as well. And this is at the Roman city of Epomanduodorum, which is in eastern France today. The town is today called Mandour. And this is an area, as you can see, that's in the western part of the Roman world. It's at a confluence of several important rivers and waterways and also trade routes. And we think that it had a very prominent place in the Western Roman Empire, even though it's actually a fairly small community in that period. The main feature at the site is a huge Roman theater that has been excavated for over 100 years. Our team has been working there since 2001. And last season, we did work at the upper part of the theater here, and we did additional work on the foundations of the south side of the theater here, and then also excavated in the area of the stage building off of the orchestra where the actual theatrical activities would have taken place. The team we're working with is from the University of Strasbourg in France, and they have been extremely cordial and hospitable in welcoming us. I think all of the students have had a marvelous time and have learned a great deal about the Roman world and also about modern France, which is a very interesting place. There's a link to a video here. I don't think it's going to work though. Let's see. Oh, maybe. I'll show a minute of it. This was 2 years ago. We had a team bring drones to the site, and this is kind of a fun view. I'll just show a few seconds of it. Aerial photography in archaeology used to be done with balloons, which was a very dicey business, expensive and difficult. And now we've got this drone technology, which really has revolutionized the work that we do. Okay, good. Gives you an idea in any case. And to go back here, let's go to the next. Here's the team working at the upper part of the theater. As I mentioned, this is a nice shot because it shows a group that's about half and half, French students and students from Carthage. It really is a team effort. We live together in a large house where the dig is headquartered. We make our own meals in that house. In fact, we assign a French student and an American student to work together in preparing the lunch and the dinner each day. And this has led to some very interesting collaborations and some interesting culinary opportunities. Generally, it's been just great. The food is superb. And again, the hospitality from our French colleagues have been really excellent. This is basically a quick look at the classics department at Carthage. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that people might have. And here's my contact information. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you for that wonderful information. If any of our guests have any questions, you are welcome to use the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. This presentation will be made available on our website later in the week if you wish to view later on or to share with family and friends. But we do thank you for joining us this afternoon to learn more about the humanities at Carthage.